Hello, I'm Jeff Byers. I'm going to take you through the modeling of the crate and UV mapping, texturing. I don't think we'll go through texturing, but we're going to go through adding detail to this crate using ZBrush. How to bake those maps. Again, we'll get to the point where we'll save out the high poly, but I've got a video that you can watch the dice, so I'm not going to try to redo videos on how to use XNormal, but we are going to touch on adding some basic modeling to the crate. So we'll start with that, then we're going to get into the ZBrush part of it. So we need to add latches and we need to add handles. So you can either do look for references, which I would highly recommend, or I'm just going to go ahead and wing this one. Don't usually do that. Usually want to have references for your handles and for your latches, but for time's sake I'm going to go ahead and start modeling. So again, you can stop this tutorial by hitting the pause button anytime if you get lost. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. So basically with the object selected, I'm going to hold down the shift key and right mouse button, click over the object and go to insert edge loop tool. So if you see me do this more than once, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not going to explain it again. So holding down the shift and right mouse button, you can go right to the insert edge loop tool. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the front view or side view. Makes it a little easy for me to kind of find out where I'm at. So I'm going to add a section here and a section here. I'm just following the grid lines. Here I'm going to add some edge loops and kind of following along. This keeps things really simplified as far as the width goes. So I'm just going to follow those edge loops. And with the strap that goes around this box, the crate, I'm going to go ahead and extrude those. So I'm going to select this. Basically, I'm going to select this edge loop all the way around. Click on one face, double click on the other. And what we want to do is we don't want to get the inside edge loops of this object. So I'm going to hit the 4 key to be able to see through. So the spots I don't want are the inside, so I'm going to go ahead and hold the control key and do a marquee selection right there. And I'm also going to do marquee selection on the inside here, so I'm going to kind of do this kind of a marquee selection. So that will kind of basically take away anything that's on the inside of the box here, as you can see. Okay, and you can pause it and rewind it and see what I did again. Now I'm going to go in here to extrude and use the extrude tool, and I'm going to go ahead and move that out a little bit to the thickness that I want. Okay. I can also go in here and hold down the control key and deselect those pieces, and I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. Oops, I guess it's still controlling it. That's kind of cool. Didn't know that. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and just leave it the way it is, and we're going to go ahead and model. So that's the outside pieces. Kind of makes it look more sci-fi. And then I'm going to go ahead and model a separate piece over on this side. So I'm going to start with I like to use primitives as much as possible. I'm going to go ahead and start with a cube and hit wireframe so I can see where it is and move it out, and hit the 5 key again so you can see that. And what I'm going to do now is just kind of go to the top view. I like to work in wireframe in these views, so I get that set up so I can see a little bit better. Move that out a little bit. I'm going to scale it down this way and scale it down this way a little bit, and then I'm going to, from the top, from the perspective view, I'm going to go into vertex mode and just kind of select the very front of that. I'm going to hit the F key, and that helps me zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to scale that down a little bit and scale it in to kind of give it some depth. There we go. And I'm also going to move that in a little bit. Don't need that much. Okay, so that's going to be our latch. Okay, and then build it up from there. Move that over to the side and move it up appropriately. There we go. And then I'm going to select a torus, and again move that out. And let's go ahead and change the subdivisions to something like 16 and 8 probably. That would be good. There we go. And then the radius, again we're gonna, whoops, I lost it. Hold on a minute. There we go, radius, I'm gonna middle mouse button, move that around, there we go. Selection radius, make it smaller. It's really important that we get that right. There we go, that looks pretty good. And now the sections around, I'm gonna try to make this easy on us. I'm gonna go probably double that, 32. And I'm trying to look at what we can get out of that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That looks pretty good. I think that'll work. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the sections we don't need. So I'm going to go in here and cut off the part that I don't need. Okay, and that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to go in here and delete the edge loops of the parts that I don't need. So I'm going to double click on this edge loop here and do the same thing. Just hold the shift key and double click and go in here and do edit mesh and delete edge and vertex. So you can see that we're going to get more of a straight line all the way down here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to leave that the way it is. And let's take a look at these. Let's take a look here. This one here, we want that one. Just double click on this guy right here. And shift click on this guy. Hit the G key. And do the same thing for this one. And this one. G key, and then I'm going to select that vertex right here, move that up like that, and now I'm going to select the edge in this one, hit the G key. There we go. So now you're starting to look at what we got going on here. So I'm going to do something really strange. I'm going to go to vertex and select all these vertices here, and I'm going to scale them in like that. Now when I do that, I kind of scale these vertices as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's try this. Yeah, let's do that again. Maybe we can do this. Let's scale them both in at the same time. Scale that in, and then I'm going to move these away. There we go, like that. And move these away like that. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And so I'm going to go ahead and scale these in. Kind of like they're the same. And move these back like that. So you can kind of see what we got going on here. And you can mess with these too as well. So we got kind of a nice little round handle thing going on here, and I'll make a couple adjustments. Just a second here. Alright, so they're still a little bit big, but I think the biggest thing right now is we're going to go ahead and go into this edge, double click on that, and rotate this a little bit like this. Kind of make that flat. There we go. And we're going to move this one a little bit. Like that, And we'll move this one, and then we'll twirl this one around like that. So we get kind of more of a nice loop here, and section that a little bit more. There we go. That's kind of what we're looking for, kind of more of a nice subtle loop. And it'll take you some time to get that pat down. Get that down pat here. We're going to rotate that. Pat down. That made no sense at all. Okay, hold on a minute. Get that down pat. Okay, let's go ahead in here and rotate that. Alright, and move it. There we go, kind of get that. And move that a little bit. So it looks more of a, like it's rounded here. There we go, I think that looks pretty good. And the last thing we're going to do is, even though it's not a big deal, I can go to vertex and scale these down just a little bit so they fit a little bit better. And of course move those out. There we go. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, so here's my handle. And we are going to rotate that. Now I've got the snapping on as far as rotational values go, so I can go in here, and you can do that by double clicking and clicking on step snap. I got a relative at 7.5. That gives me a higher resolution, so I'm going to go ahead and continue modeling this, and let's go to selection mode and get that close to where we need to have it. Have to hit the F key and zoom out a little bit and move it into place, kind of where we want it. There we go. And move it over a little bit like that, and we are going to now place another piece this way. There we go. Again, this is low polygon modeling, so like we said, we want to keep the cylinders between 8 and 12 at the very highest. And of course rotate this guy and put this guy in place. If he looks faceted, which it looks like he is, I'm going to go ahead and click off of my wireframe unshaded, and yeah, he's faceted, so, and we got some faceting here too we'll have to fix, so click on that. Faceting is you just go to edge mode, select the inside edges, not the outside, go to mesh display and soften edge, and you'll do the same thing for this guy right here, and you want to select all those and hit the G key because you already softened, so, or you can go into mesh display and soften edge. Okay, so let's take a look and see if they look good. Go to object mode. Here we go. Yep, that looks great. So I'm going to take this guy right here and move it and scale it into place. I'm going to center that, scale that down. And we want to make it look functional. That's the whole idea, is to making things look functional and look like they could actually work. Okay, and a lot of times people will go, well, that would be on the other side, and that's fine. There we go. So that looks about right. And a little extra added detail. Control D and scale that down, kind of like it has a little bolt stuck in there. There we go. So that looks nice. Okay, so now we can take this guy here and duplicate this whole entire thing over. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and merge it, combine it, and we are going to mirror it over to this other side, and I'm going to go ahead and use the duplicate special tool, and we're going to go in -X scale. I'm going to do XYZ -1, see if that works. Let's hit the 4 key. Okay, so there we go. And hit duplicate special. And put it over on the other side. So let's go into edit duplicate special. Try that again. And this time that didn't work. So let's go into -1 scale here. Oh, let's see if that works. There it goes. I think 5. Yes. There we go. We just need to move it over a little bit more. There we go, like that. There we go. Did it do it right? Yeah, did it right. So move it over. There we go. Perfect. So there is our handle. One last thing. Probably going to take these two guys here and separate. Okay, and into its pieces, and then click on those guys and do edit, delete by type history, and modify freeze transformations. So one last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this guy right here, Control D, and go to modify center pivot, and I'll go to the side view here. Okay, and then move it into place in the center of this. And then from the front view, let's move that in the center. And sometimes using the snapping tool can help. I'll turn that off again. And then we'll just scale that out to make it look like it's a nice soft handle. And this is kind of off kilter a little bit. It's kind of strange. Okay, so let me select this guy here and move that over a little bit. There we go. It's kind of strange. It's like that. And so there's our handle. Now again, it doesn't look very beefy. I probably would have beefed it up a little bit. It's kind of frail looking. So I might come back and make those changes. But, you know, you can go in there and beef it up a little bit. Scale this. I could probably scale this whole thing up. These pieces for sure. I think these pieces are okay. So let's do this. Let's scale this down a bit this way and lengthen it a little bit like that. And then take this and this, and these two, and let's beef these up because that looks kind of puny. So I'm going to kind of scale these up all together. It's going to be kind of a weird scale. So if that's kind of strange, let's go ahead and group these together, and then go to modify center pivot, and alright, so let's go ahead and we don't want them to move down, move away from itself, so I'm going to hold the D key and move that pivot point up. Okay, something like that. Okay, and then scale it. So that'll move it down. And then we can kind of move it in like, well, maybe that won't work. So yeah, I don't know. That's not looking too good. I'll just leave it the way it was. Just does not look beefy. So I might go back and change that. I just probably should have started with something a little bit thicker. So I'll go back and do that. But we're running out of time. I can only do 20-minute videos. So basically you get the idea. Okay? So you can add things to this if you want. Alright, that's it. We'll come back and do the latch.